Huh. Good vibes to the end, no? What is happening here? Someone is like he's drowning, and the good vibes dog here are watching. Oh my god. You can see the dog is the dog wants to go and save this guy. Let's see if the dog will jump. You see, these animals are full of good vibes, man. Whoa! It just jumped inside the water. Do you mean this dog can save a person from drowning? These animals are full of surprises and good vibes, man. You see? Oh, good people of Earth from wherever you are watching. Treat people well, treat animals nicely, the universe, everything. And they receive great rewards by the universe and by God. You see? And you have peace and riches of heartness, riches of the heart. You know, those are the riches that are more than the other riches, man. Good vibes to you and much love. Let's keep on watching.
What if I told you there was something right underneath where I'm standing that they do not want you to know about? Back in 1979, right here in the middle of nowhere in Colorado, the United States government detonated 3 33-kiloton nuclear bombs 1 mile under the surface. It was called Operation Plowshare. They also did it in a bunch of other locations around the country. They say they were just trying to test out, nuclear technology in non-military style ways. But what people don't know is that just a few miles away from here is this old military outpost called Pyramid Guard Station. This land is pretty special too. Got Pikes Peak not too far over there, which, as you know, is filled with solid gold. We've got one of the largest natural gas deposits in the world, one of the largest natural copper deposits in the world, one of the largest crystal quartz deposits in the world, limestone, you name it. And yet there's nothing here. Welcome to season 2 of Detective Randonaut. This year, we're gonna be finding a lost civilization.
Oh my god. Why would they do that? Please leave me your thoughts, man. Oh, look at this. Is this some dolphin or a whale? Oh, looks like a whale or a dolphin. This is a dolphin. You see, they don't know them. But I think there's one that is full of incredible energy. You see, the one that can do stuff like humans, they can hear. Or they all do that. You see, it's good vibes. These animals are full of good vibes, man.
I'm Savannah. And it is our 2-year anniversary. Officially 2 years. We've been dating for 2 years, but we've known each other forever. You didn't just see something come in here?
Huh? Is that it?
Hello, can you please make my Prada bag unique for 20 euros? Thank you.
Wow, that spray paint just looks so nice on that leather. It's incredible. Woo! And the reveal. Whoa!
Oh my god.
Prada bag. Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh my gosh. That is so cool. It's so unique.
Hey bro, can you pimp out my Louis Vuitton bag? Which color you like? Go nuts. Make it pretty.
Whoa. Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh my God. Whoa.
Jesus was not a Christian. His name was not Jesus Christ. Christ was a title that was placed on him during the invention of Christianity about 300 years after his death. Jesus did not leave behind a formal organization in any way. He did not name a successor. He did not write any books. He did not organize a formal religion or an institution of any kind. Jesus did not believe in religion. He was anti-religion, just like I am. The Christian Bible was not written by God. The book of Matthew was not written by the Apostle Matthew. The book of Mark was not authored by the Apostle Mark. The Apostle Luke did not write the book of Luke, and the Apostle John did not write the book of John. All of these books were written many, many generations after the life and death of Jesus and his apostles. These books are written by unknown authors. The man who wrote the rest of the New Testament, Paul, was not a follower of Jesus. Paul spent most of his life hunting down the followers of Jesus and either imprisoning them or killing them. Paul was not a pious man. Paul was not an enlightened man. He was not a spiritual guru. Paul was certainly not Jesus. Christians do not worship Jesus. They do not follow his teachings or walk in his footsteps. Christians worship a book. A book is not God. A book is a false idol. The Bible was not written by God. The Bible was written by man. Very imperfect men, to be specific. In fact, Christianity is so far removed from the life and teachings of Jesus that a modern Christian would not even recognize the second coming if they were looking it in the eye.
I'm going to tell you a story about humanity. And like any good story, we need to start at the beginning. A lot of people want to know what the beginning was like for humanity. So after channeling for 40 years, the information has often been asked, where did we come from? The way the story goes from the information gathered from the channeling is as follows. Many hundreds of thousands of years ago, the natural hominid that evolved upon the earth, that we often refer to as Homo erectus, existed, and at one point, the story goes, an extraterrestrial race visited the earth. They came to Earth to mine minerals that would help them create a balance on their planet. And in taking on this task, they began to realize that it was quite daunting and would take a long time, longer than they had. It was very important to balance out the weather on their planet with the minerals for a very, very short period of time. And so they needed help in order to do this. They began to look around and saw the natural hominids that had evolved here, who were close enough physically to the extraterrestrials that they thought perhaps if we can somehow train them to be of assistance in mining these minerals, the task will go faster. But being master geneticists, they felt that a way to accomplish this would be to take their own genetics and inject them into the hominids and create them to be a little bit more like the extraterrestrial race so they would be easier to train, so that they would be able to understand what the task was all about and help the extraterrestrials, who were called the Anu, or the Anunnaki. So they undertook a program of genetic alteration where they introduced their own genetics into Homo erectus and other early hominids and began to create what became us, Homo sapiens. A lot of people talk about the idea of evolution, and they talk about the idea of thinking that there must have been a kind of missing link between early hominids and Homo sapiens, because there seems to be an evolutionary jump that occurred where suddenly we gained much more brain power, much more brain capacity, and it hasn't yet been fully satisfactorily explained how that occurred. It may be possible that this so-called missing link is actually the extraterrestrials that came to Earth so long ago and injected their DNA into the early hominid in order to create Homo sapiens. As humans were created, then they began to act as a workforce to help accelerate the mining operations that were so important to the ETs and allowed them to accomplish their task within a timely manner. However, the idea is that because the ETs were so advanced, these early humans began to kind of look upon them as godlike beings, and they began to think of them as something far above humanity. Also, the ETs may have acted to keep the humans at a certain level. In many of the stories that exist in early documents, such as the Bible, These stories are told, but they have been sort of mythologized. And I think they do represent something a little bit more literal. When it talks about the idea, such as the Garden of Eden, and how the gods did not want humans to be as smart as they are, to know the things that they knew, and how eating from the tree of knowledge caused them to be expelled from the Garden of Eden, so to speak. This may be a metaphor for what actually happened in terms of humans seeing the gods and wanting to understand what the gods knew, what the ETs knew. But the ETs wanted to prevent that, because then they would be like them and they would know the things they knew, and they couldn't necessarily use them as labor anymore. They would want independence, as any thinking being probably does. So they curtailed their knowledge. They curtailed their ability perhaps even to learn that knowledge by not necessarily turning on certain markers in our DNA, and by leaving those markers off, preventing us from actually being able to learn too much of what the ETs knew and how they operated, so that we wouldn't become equal to them. So the idea is that eventually the extraterrestrials on the planet that these beings came from may have in fact learned about what these ETs had done in creating Homo sapiens. Now, as far as the story goes, it's possible that they have breached their own laws by doing this. It may not have been something that they were actually allowed to do in creating a sentient species. And so the story goes that they were recalled to their own planet, and that from that point forward, once Homo sapiens had been created, the ETs that had recalled the group that came to Earth knew that they couldn't just abandon mankind. They had to guide them from that point forward until they were assured that mankind could perhaps take care of themselves, could understand basic relationships and basic laws, and could create a society that was self-sustaining. And so the ETs sought to teach mankind things like agriculture and mathematics and so on, so that humankind could become self-sustaining. But I think this is where the stories come from, of visitations from the gods over time, to lead us on certain paths, to teach us certain things, to watch over us and guide us. And this relationship, I think, solidified the idea that eventually became the religions of the world, where we know that there is something observing us. We know that there is something higher than us. Now, this in no way, shape, or form negates the idea of the spiritual nature of God or the spiritual nature of humanity. But I think these things have become enmeshed. These two stories have become intertwined and enmeshed with one another. And therefore, there is nowadays no separation between the idea of God as a spirit and the souls of humanity and the idea of who created us. But I think these are actually two distinctly different stories. While we do have a spiritual beginning, I think we also have a different physical beginning that began, as this story tells us, with the ETs that came to Earth and created Homo sapiens. But they have stayed around to guide us after recalling the group that created us, being that that creation was against their laws. So in guiding us, we now have all the stories of being led through the desert, of being taught how to build certain devices, how to create societies, how to have relationships. And this comes across, because the stories have been intertwined, as things like commandments from God, which I think in the early days was simply teaching humanity ways to live, ways to understand how not to fight each other and so on and so forth, how to get along, so that they knew that they could eventually leave us to our own devices, and that we could build societies that would one day allow us to sort of reclaim our position among the stars, being the children of extraterrestrial beings.
Huh. That is very interesting, man. Look at this. I don't know much about this, man.
Rebel. Look at the etymology, rebel, to change the frequency.
One of the reasons that the Anunnaki left because they were aging faster because they were here on Earth. Yes. In the Anunnaki Chronicles and the Lost Book of Enki, it explains exactly how this went. Apparently, remaining on Earth, the Anunnaki noticed that they were aging rapidly, a lot faster than on their own planet. This is due to the fact that Nibiru has an elliptical orbit around the sun of 3,600 years. So 1 year for them is 3,600 years for us. And that's why we used to call them the immortals, because compared to humans, they're immortals. On a side note, I have updates on why we age, and it's because of the telomeres. I did a video once. I'm going to continue in the next video. Let's go back to the Anunnaki. So when they realized that they were aging a lot faster, I mean, if it was me, if I'm one of the Anunnaki goddesses here on Earth, and I see that I'm aging a lot faster compared to Nibiru just because I'm here on Earth, yeah, after a while, I'm going to be like, I'm going to go home because I don't want to lose this. And I think that that's what happened. And that's what the books say happened. It doesn't say that about everyone, but needless to say, I mean, it doesn't take a genius. Let's all do the math. If it was you, what would you do? Would you live thousands and thousands of years less just to be here on Earth? I don't think so. So yes, that is probably one of the main reasons why they returned on Nibiru.
300 drones. Chinese Lunar New Year. Darling Harbor. A TN drone show.
Oh, that was amazing, man. Hey, that was spectacular. Wow, 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 wow. That was nice, man. Good vibes. Oh, look at this good vibes dog entered some bus, and people give it some good service. Yeah, man, that's interesting. Oh. Oh, okay. The bus driver is a good guy. You see, these people refused to give the dog a seat, and the bus driver gave the dog the whole bus. Oh, it seems that it can even roam there, have some time.
He read that when Anu came to visit Earth, his two sons, Enki and Enlil, both had aged more than him. That's actually true. I believe it's information in the Lost Book of Enki, which I have a playlist on. And it's also on the tablets that are exposed at the Museum of Liechtenstein. And it was part of the Rothschild's private collection. I've actually done content on this. This is actually a true story, if you believe in the Anunnaki scriptures, as I do. It wasn't the first time Anu came that this happened. It was after several millennia, where they had already established cities, regions. Because 1 year for them is 3,600 years for us, you can imagine how much they age. And it was something about the gravity, the oxygen levels. Nibiru is 8 times larger than Earth. Therefore, you're going to have trees, mountains, people, animals, so much larger on their planet than on ours. The Anunnaki noticed that the more the millennia were passing here on Earth, the more they were aging. And this of Anu coming to Earth and his sons being older than him is the perfect example. Basically, adulthood for the Anunnaki, they have this rapid growth to look like in their mid-20s. And it stays like that for a long, long time. They're born babies, and then they rapidly grow into this 20-some-year-old age. And then it stops for a very, very long time. So at a certain point, you have the father Anu and his sons, Enki and Enlil, that they both look like they're in their 20s. And Anu may be in like early 30s, but this is how it was, okay? When Anu visits after a few millennia, he's still in his 30s, while his sons that came here looking like they were in their 20s, they look like they were in their 40s, early 40s. And that's when it really, really sunk in. Because while they were on Earth, they realized they were geniuses, they did the math. But the thing was this, okay, so people are going to be like, so why didn't they leave? Why would you want to stay here and age? Okay. On Nibiru, yes, they were the royals. But here on Earth, they are gods. Consider that the entire pantheon of the Greek and Roman gods, the 12 Olympians, they are the royal family of Nibiru. And once Enki and Enlil came down here after Alalu discovered it, and if you want to know who Alalu is, I have the playlist. In the beginning, they came down with astronauts. So long story short, skip ahead to when they created the gold mines. The Ajiji were working there. The Ajiji rebelled. Then they created the humans as a slave race with an offspring of a bipedal monkey and their DNA, yada, yada, yada. When they started creating civilizations, then on Nibiru, there was like this lottery of who wanted to come here. And I can only imagine that Elon Musk is going to do the same when he goes on Mars. Who's going to be one of the elites to come and colonize Mars? So after they created these civilizations and all these things like this, on Nibiru, they were having like this lottery of who was going to come down here of them. And this is the thing. Once they came down to Earth, they could reign as gods. On Nibiru, they were just people. Yes, the royals, but nevertheless, people. They weren't gods to the other populations. So coming to Earth was a privilege. Put yourself in their shoes. Let's consider that Earth for them is like Mars for us. We're going to go on Mars. We're going to colonize it. We're going to create civilizations. And if you were to create a slave race there of humanity that was dumbed down compared to us, right? You would be their gods. In fact, if you watch a lot of the Star Trek episodes and movies, you'll find so many civilizations that when they see people coming down from outer space, they consider them gods. And that's exactly what happened. The last time that we see Enki and Enlil, it's Zeus and Poseidon and the Olympians of the Greek pantheon, right? Because in ancient Greece, there is this thing that they say the gods walked amongst them. It's not mythology. For them, it's history. And the depiction of them are like really good looking mid-aged people. Like Zeus himself looked like he's like a hot 45, 50-year-old. Which if they had stayed on their planet, they'd still look like they're in their early 30s. And that's the deal. To be on Earth, to be a god, you had to give up your youth. Then there is a theory that they created avatar bodies, and now you're going into the myth of Osiris and Isis, that story, which I also have in a playlist. Long story short, if the Anunnaki remain on Earth, they aged, so it was their best interest to return on their planet after a while and just have their descendants, their hybrids, rule here on Earth.
As a projector, you are like a lighthouse. A lighthouse doesn't chase boats. Boats come to the lighthouse. So for you as a projector, you're not here to chase people. People come to you. And the only job of the lighthouse is to shine the light. The only job for you as a projector is to shine your light brightly, to work on your talents, to nourish yourself, to recognize yourself first of all. The only way to get recognition that you seek from other people and to get those invitations that you want from other people is to recognize yourself. When you recognize yourself, other people see you, those invitations come, and they come from the correct people. So when you answer them, you engage in correct actions, correct decisions, and you move towards success.
Huh. Good vibes, man. Oh, look at this. What's going on? Good people of Earth, thanks for watching up to this far, man. Much love and respect. Hit the like button if you haven't already and leave some comments. You see, look at this beautiful hair here. Someone got a rabbit and oh, is it a rabbit or a hair from, oh, but it's good vibes and they kept it and this is very interesting. See, these rabbits are full of good vibes and they're just incredible and they understand love. You see, I have some few rabbits here, we keep as pets, and they are good vibes, you see. They know how to cuddle and they can identify the person that usually feeds them, and it's just interesting, man. Oh, look at this one. They even chill with the dog here. Oh, this is interesting. Good vibes. Oh. Good people over there. That was interesting. Some jaw-dropping UFO footage. Look at this. Oh my god, this looks like some floating piece of metal. What is happening? This UFOs really look creepy. Look at the other ones there. Oh my god, this was there are many. And these UFOs or drones. Oh, good people of Earth. Please leave your thoughts on this and leave some comments. Oh, this is scary. Okay. Oh my god, what is happening with the moon or the sun or what is that thing? Or there's also another glowing UFO. Ha! Creepy stuff happening all over. Oh my god. Good people of Earth, what do you think this is? You see, this does not look like the moon. Huh? Or, no, you see, that was not the moon. That is something very creepy. Oh, that is definitely some UFO. Oh, good people of Earth, what do you think that is? Look at this other ones here from other places. Yeah. Wow. Good people of Earth. Thanks for watching up to this far, man. You are all loved and respected. You see, hitting the like button there and leaving some comment is a good gesture and is received with much gratitude. See, kindly good people of Earth. Always hit the like button and spread love. Peace be with you, man. Goodbye. Much love.